Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are from the world. Very warm welcome to Meet Menaca, celebrating you. Today, we are having the episode 46, Understanding Your Emotional Intelligence with Venkat V.M. Lingam. Before we interview Venkat, we are going to be giving a couple of housekeeping things. From 1st of July, our first show will be on the 4th of July, starting from Sundays at 2 o'clock British time and Sri Lanka, India time at 6:30 p.m. So please take note of it. If you find these shows useful, please support us by liking and subscribing for our channel. A very warm welcome, Venkat. It's an honor to have you. He's an international speaker, trainer, mentor, and coach. Venkat is also a recipient of the Star 2020 Award and Certificate of Commitment issued by the World Book of Records. And he is going to be speaking about a subject which I'm really interested in. So I'm all ears to listening to you. Warm welcome to you, Venkat.
Thank you, Dr. Menaca. Thank you so much to you and your team for inviting me to be part of this talk show. And I myself have been following your shows almost every Saturdays. And thank you for doing this, sending out the message to the masses. Thank you, Dr. Menaca.
Thank you so much. Today we are going to be speaking about emotional intelligence and where can we, see this work. Have you ever observed someone inspire a team? Or, as leaders, we have always seen some leaders can inspire some people more than others. We all wish we could quickly connect with people, influence people for the right reasons. And sometimes it's not that easy. And so we are waiting to hear from Venkat how we can all do this a bit more easier. Venkat, I know you're an expert in this field. So in simple words, can you describe what is emotional intelligence really?
Right. In simple words, it's the ability to identify, understand, and manage your emotions, all right? And also identify, understand the emotions of others.
Sure.
That's how I can summarize what EI is all about.
Sure. Thank you so much. I'm sure Daniel Goldman is happy listening to you speaking about this, for sure.
One of the EI gurus, yes.
Exactly, because my training is, I got the training from him, not in person, but online. Why do you think we need to know about emotional intelligence? Why is it important to talk about it, to learn about it, to listen about it, and implement in our lives?
Let me share two aspects to this. One is about my own personal life and also about my job that I do. I wish I had learned about emotional intelligence at a much earlier stage. Sadly, I only got to know about it in 2017 when I was teaching on the leadership topics. One of the reasons is because, when we enter the world, maybe you are just zero. We all are naked, ignorance. And it's about the choices that we made in our life. The accumulated choices that we made is where we are today. So the choices that we made could be right, could be wrong, and also because of our surroundings, whether our parents, our friends, or our schools. So it was about the choices that you make. And I could see that I made some wrong choices also. For example, Dr. Menaca, I never did well in school. I was never an academic person, all right? On the other hand, I did well in sports, okay? So on one part, I was excelling in school, in academic pathway, I was not doing well. One of the reasons because my teachers told me that I'm not good enough. So that sentence was cemented in my head. So Venkat, why you want to waste your time studying? So that sentence kept on, I just kept on repeating to myself and it became like a belief also. Along the way, then I realized, Venkat, you have some quality in you, some skills in you, which is your strength. This is the first domain of emotional intelligence, self-awareness, getting to know about your strength. So when I was in the soccer field or track and field or long distance whatsoever. I was doing well there. I had the leadership quality. I was coaching soccer teams in Australia and Singapore. I was a captain of many teams. So I had certain qualities which was not taught in the school. So what I did was I capitalized on the strengths that I had and not focusing on the weakness. Number two, I should not have allowed someone to come and tell me who I am. So because of the statement that they said, it got cemented into my head. So that's why I'm saying, I'm emphasizing on emotional intelligence to many people that, get to know yourself first. People will talk, people will put you down, but do not devalue yourself.
Sure.
The second aspect was when I started teaching leadership topics. Well, it's all about management theories, MBO, how to achieve results, how to be a better leader. Then I realized, no, be a better person first. You'll automatically become a better leader. So that's why I started to incorporate EI topics into my leadership topics. And at the end of the journey, 6 months journey, when I asked my students, what was the most favorite topic of yours? All of them would say emotional intelligence. Because in this part of the world, where I am now, Singapore, EI is still not known yet. The awareness is still not there yet. And some people think that you really got to be educated in order to have high EI.
Yeah.
Let me share one news fresh off the oven that's happened in Singapore. A polytechnic lecturer was fired yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. For giving a racist remark. A couple of two different races were dating and walking down Orchard Road. And this lecturer approached them and told them that, hey, you guys should not be dating one another. What's it got to do with him?
Oh
So
dear.
coming back to the question, do you need to be educated to have high EI? My answer is no. Can you practice EI? Yes, you can. It's never late.
Sure. Thank you so much. So before I go further, listening to you, I'm really intrigued, knowing your story. I speak about it very often. People who have been coached or mentored or trained by me, they have heard this for sure, that it's about, what people around you say. And actually, Kirube and I, we did a show called Shift Your Identity. And it was all about this. So, what people perceive us to be and what we really are most of the time are two different things. And unfortunately, like you said, for many of us, we learn this very late in life, that it really doesn't matter what people say, or might be even to some extent, we still let that bother us sometimes because we're only human. And as they say, old habits die hard, right? So you mentioned that you're at school, you didn't do well in academics, you were very good in sports. Two aspects came to mind were you not good in academics because somebody said that you are not good at it? And secondly, did anyone encourage you in what you are good at? Because you were very good in sports, you were having the leadership qualities in that. So do you think if they knew, because they can, better, you do better, as Maya Angelou says. So they perhaps did know better. So, there's no point, it's no blaming and blame gaming. But do you think these are the factors which played in your role? And because it's your story, I want to hear from you.
I'll say for both the questions, right? The academic part, the leader who was my teacher, she gave these statements, which got me affected. On the field, my coach gave me positive statements, which kind of inspired me to do well further, right? So I would say that, I allowed the negative comments to be in my head, and I also allowed the positive comments to be in my head. Whereas EI is about self-awareness, getting to know yourself well, and how the second domain, self-management. That's how you manage your strength or area for improvement. So if I had known about this subject much earlier, I would have been able to filter out the negative statement and still continue excelling in what I believe in and what I am good at.
Thank you. But don't we all wish that, though, isn't it? Hindsight is the gift many of us wish we had before. When you said about negative comments and positive comments, I mean, I know we are blessed with having quite a few psychiatrists and psychologists on this platform. So I'm sure we will hear from them what they think about it. As human beings, we are wired to focus more on negative things. That was for us to save ourselves from, danger in the caveman time. But I think we have, passed it on, and we have, we still see everything as danger, I guess. And so we are always focusing on negatives. So even though negatives and positives have been given, do you think you focus more on the negatives or actually not?
Very good question. In Singapore, right, we're also known to be a society that likes to complain a lot. Even if the train is 5 minutes late, they will go to Facebook and put a negative comment there. Even if it's raining, yeah, it's raining. So it's always negativity. They don't see anything positive out of any results. So you mentioned this word, our brain is wired towards negativity. That's because you see negativity in everything. You are rewiring your brain to see negativity. But can you rewire your brain? Yes, you can. One word I've always taught in my class it's quite a powerful word, is acceptance. If something negative is happening, accept it. Ask yourself, what can you do next? Instead of just standing there whining and complaining. Now, this word acceptance, or this attitude of having acceptance attitude, works very well towards wiring your brain towards positivity. Given the pandemic today also, a lot of people are still suffering chaos in the mind. Recently, our government also announced that you're going to another phase now, and a certain lockdown is happening. And again, a lot of negative comments is coming. Is it within your control? If it's not, then accept it. Then ask yourself, what's next? What can be done? Why do we need to wire our brain towards negativity?
Sure. Thank you so much, Venkat. You told why it's important to be aware, and you also told me why it's important to manage yourself. Can you tell right now, today's world, we think people are not able to control their thoughts or actions or behaviors, and it's having a negative impact on their lives, on their careers, or even mental health. So what is your take on it as an expert?
It's kind of a sad state of affair right now because a lot of them are unable to manage the emotions, the thoughts, and also the behavior. Knowing Singapore, everything you do, you get fined. Right? It's the fine city. You get fined for everything. But lately, a lot of fights is going on the streets. Recently, one incident that happened in the train. A lady was on the phone, okay? An 8-year-old child was stepping out of the train. 8-year-old child accidentally stepped on the toes of this lady. Now, the reaction of this lady was she gave a tight slap to the girl and bruised her face. So again, a fresh news, So here I'm thinking, what caused it? So this could be a stress factor. You're unable to, handle your emotions. But the sad part is, because of your reaction, today I'm using her as a case study in my class. I got international audience here. So, is it a good thing or a bad thing? If you're able to identify your emotions, understand them, and handle them, you will not react. A lot of divorce cases are going on in Singapore now. I'm not sure in other part of the country, a lot of divorce cases, the helpline centers are increasing, which is good. That means people are reaching out. Some people are not, they're keeping it within themselves. Number two, working from home. Too close for comfort. Friction is there. So what are you doing to find an outlet? What are you doing to manage or identify the people in your house? Are you able to read their emotional cues and understand why they are behaving the way they are behaving? So every action, there's a reaction. Are we able to stop there before we react? That's the question now. Some people think having high EI is like Lord Buddha. You're always calm and composed. Now I can handle any situation. No. I mean, it's yes, and also no. Why? You see, as much as I'm advocating on AI, I still snap. You can ask my sisters. But the question is, how fast are you able to recover from that? Are you able to tell yourself, okay, oh dear, I snapped. I shouldn't have done that. How fast can you get over that? I'll share another incident that happened. During break time, I and my fellow students, we went down the institute. It was only a 15 minutes break. We bought some chocolates and had a drink. Then after finishing, I told my students, okay, guys, let me take a leave. Let me go up to the classroom first. As I just turned, it was a walkway. A cyclist came and hit me. All right. And he started hurling vulgarities on me. Now I was like, huh? This is a walkway. I didn't hit you. You're not supposed to be cycling here. And now you're hurling vulgarities on me. A commotion could have erupted over there. I looked around. I told myself, Venkat, calm down. Your students are there. This can affect your job if you react now. So I just composed myself, looked at him, and I went back to the class. 5 minutes later, the bunch of students who were down with me, they came up and told me, oh, Mr. Venkat, if I were you, I would have given it to him. I said, yeah, I would have also, but I would have lost my job. Next day, it came out in the newspapers, Kaplan trainer behaved such in the streets, you know. You see, one small, thanks, Gurubai. So one small incident, one small reaction could have cost my job. Unknown person on the streets, and he left. Number two, I could have come back to the class being grumpy and angry. And now it's going to affect my teaching and affect all my students who paid for the course. Who is he? I don't know. But he's sitting in my head now. He spoils my day. He spoils my mood. He's renting the space in my head. Why? Why am I allowing that? So if only you are able to identify your emotions, what's happening, and have a positive outlook. How do you have positive outlook? You manage your emotions. Find out what triggers you. What makes you happy? We have, I was talking to my students last week, the first thing we do when we wake up is check our handphone. Now, there could be a negative message in the WhatsApp. That kind of triggered you and make you feel upset. You know, the whole day you're going to be negative and thinking about that negative issue. Is that how you want your life to be? Starting off with a negative note and because of an external party? That's not what we want. So you should be able to filter that out and attend to it later on. That is emotional intelligence, self-awareness and self-management.
Sure. Thank you so much, Venkat, because it's really, really important, I think, in our day-to-day life, in our careers, as you said, it has great implications. So, I think every single person, and I think they should really start teaching EI at a very young age,
Absolutely.
if, given a choice. So now, can you tell, you have told how you made the decision, and how does this help one to make decisions rationally or irrationally for other people? Of course, few people on this platform have learned, including myself and you, but will you tell someone else, how can they control that? And I like the fact you said about WhatsApp messages, or tell us about social media or WhatsApp. Isn't it a little thing just triggers us and then it kind of ruins the relationship or ruins the entire day? Okay. But beyond that, how can we make sure that our decisions are rational, not irrational, in a way?
You see, as long as we know that every action, there's a reaction. I mean, the cause and effect, right? Mm-hmm. How you choose to respond to it, it's within your control. Yeah. Okay. Now, I don't go too deep into how the brain works, but just let me touch and go, right? Mm-hmm. Then the moment your brain receives this information, when you're reacting immediately, that means it's bypassing the thinking brain. Sure. So it straight goes to this element size, a small size, element size part, which is called amygdala. Yeah. That is causing you to react. The outbursts, the anger, the words that you're choosing, the wrong words that you're choosing. So you allow the small part of the brain to react. That's not what we want.
Mm.
You know, when we were kids, our parents or grandparents, they told us whenever you're angry, count 1 to 10 or 10 backwards. Actually, that's science, actually. Because when you do that, you are allowing the thinking brain to kick in and not react. So you will respond to that situation.
Sure.
Or even do you need to respond in the first place?
Yeah.
So give some time even before you react. For some people, it could be 6 seconds. Some people, it's 10 seconds. But do you know what triggered you and how you're going to react? Hold on to that.
Sure. Thank you. I mean, I think it's the prefrontal cortex, isn't it, which comes into play when you, I mean, it's the same thing, like people take deep breaths. Counting backwards is even better. And the psychiatrist here would say it's a new brain, you're kicking in the new brain in function. Okay. So it will be interesting conversation later, I'm sure. Thank you, Venkat, for that. Okay, so we spoke about self-awareness and self-management. I would want to touch upon, the next two parts, if you can call it, about being socially aware and relationship management. You already mentioned about divorce. I have nothing to show or tell about that one, but is it the inability to connect with others or self that's causing some kind of distress, do you think, today?
In my opinion, I would say yes, because, as I said, the first two domains, self-awareness, self-management, it's all about self. The second two domains is about external, social awareness, skills, and relationship management. So if you're talking about the social awareness, one of them is, you're unable to observe and understand their emotions. Why are they behaving that way? Are you able to read their emotional cue? For example, your partner is coming back home late and tired. Are you able to see that and comment on that? Hey, I see that you're tired. Are you able to do that? So the social awareness skills is being able to understand their emotions, pick up the emotional cues, recognize what they've gone through. This is the dynamics I'm talking about. So if you're able to do that, then comes the relationship management. You are able to develop and then maintain a good relationship because you are able to identify their emotions. You are able to communicate according to suit that situation. Imagine someone's coming back home late and tired, and if you are talking to them in a very high, rough tone, is that going to be received well by that person? So relationship management is about able to see their emotions, able to communicate clearly, and also to manage conflict because you can understand where they are coming from. It's not about ego here or self.
Do you think, I mean, what you are saying is partly empathy, right? Like it's putting yourself in someone else's shoes and understanding from their world why they're doing what they're doing, or why they're saying something, or how they're saying, or they're behaving. I can tell myself, 10 years back, 20 years back, I would judge something like, okay, how can they take drugs, or how can they be alcoholic? I'm being very transparent here. But when you start to understand what goes behind the scenes and why people act in a certain way or do certain things, it definitely changes your perspective totally. And you become a better person for yourself and definitely become a better person for people around. What do you think? Do you think that has something to do?
The word empathy, Dr. Menaca, absolutely. One of the great leaders mentioned the world is facing empathy deficit, right? Recently, one gentleman was found riding a bike on the streets without any clothes. You must see the comments on Facebook. Very wrong comments about that particular person. So empathy is about connection, and understand what's happening in that person's shoes. Put yourself in their position before, like what you said, before you even judge. Now, judging is very easy. Thinking is difficult. That's why people judge, So that person could have been going through so much of stress at home, and he just needs some kind of mental health, the mental wellness, So people are not connected now, more so after the COVID-19.
Sure.
So I always tell my class, the world lacks empathy, the world lacks warmth, and the world lacks connection. So if you want to be a better person or even a better leader, when I say leader, it can be a mom, dad, anyone, empathy, practice empathy.
True. I'm going to share a story what my friend shared with me a couple of days back. There's, I think somewhere in Europe, this happened. One mom who had 3 children was sleep deprived. Parenthood and sleep deprivation is not uncommon to hear. So she dropped 2 kids in the school, came back, and she was so tired. She just fell asleep on the wheel after coming and parking at home. And a couple of later, unfortunately, the toddler who was at the back, they lost the toddler. So who is going to be the person who is going to be judging her for the entire life? Perhaps is herself. But that kind of triggered a huge discussion and judgment on the social media. It went viral, and some parents were saying, we can all understand this happens. Nobody wants to do these things, but these things, it's an accident. And obviously there was another portion of people were blaming, like, what kind of mother, how can they do it? And I think, when you were speaking about this, that story really came to mind. We are so quick to judge, so quick to pass comments on other people without even knowing what's happening behind the scenes, isn't it? And I think that's why it's so important to stop ourselves, pause, and take a 5 minutes break and think about it. Okay, fine. Because we only know the part of the story. Could there be another part of the story which is playing here, which we do not know about?
Absolutely, Dr. Menaca. That's why I said,
just call me Menaca.
I'll do my best.
I was trying not to tell this few times, but
so yeah, I'll do my best. So you're mentioning about, we judge people very often, but then again, if you're going to be judging people, how are you going to be managing people, be it at home or at workplace? Why is the judgment coming in? Why aren't you not even putting yourself in their position, trying to understand why they're doing what they're doing? Accidents happens, yes, of course. So what does this particular friend of yours needs now? Such comments? No. Comfort. Right? So that's why I've always been saying EI is the missing link today in people's life. It's a missing skill today that we need to learn and be more aware of.
Okay, you have spoken so much about EI today, and I know you're an expert in this field, but I need to ask this question. What triggered you to learn about EI? Because most of us have gone and learned about, I'm an advocate for mental well-being. I'm an ambassador for women empowerment, but there's always a story behind why we get so passionate about certain topics. So what is yours, Venkat? I'm just trying to, see the story behind. You have only given a part of it for us.
Okay, I'll make myself vulnerable now. One major story that happened is in 2014. All right, it's about my medical issues that I had. I had diverticular disease, and I had to have half my intestines removed. All right, that led to a lot of complications and infection. So I was bedridden in the hospital for months. Because I was bedridden, water entered my lungs, pneumonia. So one after another. And at one time, one morning, all the doctors, the specialists all came and they told me that, sorry, the strongest antibiotics is not working. So do you believe in God? Do you believe in miracles? And here I was lying down. What are they trying to tell me, So I was a bit confused. And that's when I realized, yep, they're giving up. Right? They were giving up. So I told myself, my favorite question is always, what's next? Right? So I had to be mentally strong. The battle was going on, so I had to be mentally strong. And somehow, yes, miracle happened. I came out of the hospital, but for a good 3.5 years, I was on hospitalization leave because I had a big hole in my stomach. I had to leave with a big hole. It could not heal. And I had a big padding inside my stomach. So you could see my guts and everything. Every 2 to 3 hours, I had to do dressing. And every morning when I wake up, my bed is full of pus and blood. I live alone. And with this medical condition, you know how depressing it is, Menaca?
I can't even say I understand. I can attempt to understand. And your story is so powerful. And I don't know how you came through it. Well done to you.
I was doing well as a trainer. And then I was 40 years old. That's where, basically like your foundation is established. But no, I went down to zero, bedridden. And the journey from my room to the toilet is the longest journey ever. Because blood is everywhere and you sit down and think, gosh, suicidal thoughts, depression. Every day you're in depression. 2 to 3 hours, you got to do dressing and you can't go out because your shirt is full of pus. And where are you going to do the dressing? The smell of the pus. But 3.5 years, I coped with it. And when I shower, I needed extra hands. One to hold the shower head, one to hold the towel against the hole, and one hand to apply the soap. But what pulled me through, Menaca, was I've tasted sugar before, and I know how it tastes. Now I'm tasting salt, and I want to taste sugar again. So that the mindset, basically, having the positive mindset, never to give up, made me walk through the whole 3.5 years.
Well done. Kudos to you. It's, it is a powerful message for everyone. And I think, if you can do it honestly, you really need a round of applause because it's not easy. It's not at all easy. And I can tell you something. My dad had a stroke a few years back, and it so happened I was there on the day. And I realized so obviously it came as a shock because he is the most health conscious person in the family. As far as I remember, he always ate healthy. He did yoga, meditation lately, and we were all like really surprised this happened to him. And a couple of weeks later, when some relatives and friends came along to visit him, he said, "Oh, in another 3 months, February, I still remember it was in November when this happened. In February, I'll go back to work." And I was like, "What are you even talking about?" And I still remember one of our friends, she said, "Menaca, just don't say anything. That's good for the mindset. Just leave him to say it." And I'm like, okay. But miracles do happen. February, you believe it or not, he went back to work. He's a doctor. He went back to work. And actually, I didn't know that he went back to work because I was, he didn't want to tell me because he thought I'll tell him not to go to work. I would have said. And a few weeks later, I just said, "Oh, so how are you feeling? What's happening?" He said, "Oh, I have a confession to make. Actually, I've been going to work." So, but, amazing to have that mindset. I can't say I have established it fully. I try every day to do that. But, people like you give everyone hope to see that anything can happen. So miracles do happen. I do believe in miracles, but I think after hearing your story, I definitely have a bit more belief in that.
Thank you. That's why I love my job as a trainer, 11 years now. After being a GM of a company, I wanted to share my knowledge and impart my knowledge to people. But along the way, that's when I realized, hey, you can impact people, impart and also impact people with your stories. So that is why I will never look back. I'll still continue this journey as a trainer. And another reason why I'm so much into emotional intelligence, because after what I've gone through in life, when I see some of my students, they're always seeking happiness externally, either from someone, they have to find friends to go out and have. They can never be at peace with themselves or alone at home. They're always finding happiness outside. But little do they know that you can never find happiness outside if you're not in peace with yourself. If you come in terms with yourself, you find peace within yourself, everything you see outside, it makes you happy.
Yeah,
That's what
suddenly, the way you change, if you change the way you see the world, when it dies, the way the world is different. It's more beautiful.
Absolutely.
People seem nice. So it's really, really important. People who have been coached or trained, few people are here, and they know. I tell this again and again. It's so important. Whether it's really, I have been that person. I'm not saying that I was always like this. I wasn't. You go look for these things in your women. We look into the bags and shoes, and I call myself a chocoholic dentist. And so there you go. But then some people look in relationships or drugs or alcohol or smoking. We all have a piece, or in people we want to be surrounded. But sometimes you're surrounded by people, you still feel very lonely, because if you don't fill that cup within you, you can't, isn't it?
Well said.
So coming to that, I was about to ask, so you talked about self-awareness and self-management, and we spoke about various things. Do you think self-love and self-compassion is as important in the world of EI?
I would say it's prime. Self-love is prime. Kind of related to this, the recent topic we were talking, we're always finding happiness outside, right? It's just that we forget to love ourselves. One of our familiar friend that you know of, Raja Khan, he always asks me this. When was the last time you said, I love you to yourself?
Yeah. It's amazing. If people who want to go and see, there's Louise Hay, you can look, I will put it in the WhatsApp group as well later on. Amazing topic she does on self-love. It's beautiful.
So in a day, Menaca, we have so much of duties to do. We wake up as a parent, then as a customer, and then as a passenger, as a colleague, as a sibling, as a son. We are playing so many duties in a row. Then not even once we are playing the duty as Venkat or Raj for the matter, or Kirubai. So that's one of the reasons why we tend to forget that we are important. Next, when it comes to gratitude, we're always saying, oh, thank you for doing this for me. We are thankful for that friend. We're thankful for that job. Always external. You've got to start thanking yourself for whatever you are capable of doing or thinking or where you are now. Self-gratitude comes first, then external.
Yes.
But we're just forgetting all these simple things, Menaca, that we are important, love thyself. The world can wait.
Mm-hmm. I must say, I get reminded about it, and also about having the right people around you, right? I get reminded very often. People who are on this show, sometimes they tell, for example, Kiribe would say, now enough, close the laptop, go and watch TV, or, you have been summoned to come to my house. You have to, come for a cup of tea or cup of coffee. And, other people, Dr. Bala has told many times for me, Menaca, yes, it's great you're doing all these things, but you have to also look after yourselves. And it is also, I think, self-love is so important, but also surround yourself with people, your surroundings, where self-love is not seen as selfish. Basically, it's not selfish. If you are a happier person, healthier person, you'll be able to look after other people much better. And I need reminders very often, and I'm blessed to be surrounded by people who remind me that, because I think when I particularly go into the mode of training and reading, and one of my close friends said, I'm addicted to learning. Might be I am, I have no idea. But when I start writing things, I totally get lost in it. When I start doing things, I get carried away with doing things. So, but I'm so blessed to have people around me who say, okay, fine, I think it's just time to stop and do something else. So I think you touched upon self-love and self-compassion, why it's important. What do you think you can do? So, for example, one thing I have started doing, I wouldn't say I am 100% mastered it. I haven't. But what I do most days, at least, is 11 o'clock, my phone goes on the airplane mode. switches off automatically. It's not that I've never been there after that. So, you can always bypass it. You can go and do things. But in the morning, like you earlier mentioned, I keep the phone away from my bed so that, I don't need to, go into the bed and make the world influence me first thing in the morning. So I can do the meditation if I want to. I can do other things if I want, whatever I want to read, and then go and touch, because we all know we quickly go into the rabbit hole once we start. So what is your message to show self-love or self-compassion? What would you recommend us to do?
Just before echoing whatever you just said, never allow anyone to influence you. You influence yourself first. That's what happened to me when I was a kid. So I allowed someone to influence my mind, thinking that I'm not good in studies. But today, I'm an NLP coach. I've done Enneagram. How can I do that? You see? The other thing is, do not devalue yourself because of others. Don't devalue yourself. Get to know your strength. Walk tall. Walk with the confidence. A lot of depression cases today is because I would say they do not have self-love. They don't love themselves enough, and they've been depending happiness from the external parties. Number two, they have devalued themselves. That's one of the reasons why people go into depression. And I'm not saying that you can't go into depression. Menaca, I go into depression even now.
You're in good company.
Yes. And I tell myself, Venkat, today's Friday, make sure Sunday you snap out. Okay, we have the angel and the devil in the head, right? I allow both of them to take turns.
The Lucifers, right?
So, what I'm saying is, yes, I've identified that I'm down, which is the first thing you do when you're emotionally intelligent. And when Sunday comes, I talk to myself, hey, it's Sunday, you want to get up? Because when you're going through depression, you shut off the whole world. So your room is dark, you don't communicate with anyone. Then I tell myself, I still got to get my life going, right? So snap out of it, go and shower, start your day fresh. So that's how I come in terms with my negative emotions, because I can identify them and I'm managing them. So I'm still work in progress, but at least I know what I'm doing. I'm in control of my actions. I'm in control of my thoughts and my behavior. I'm not going to allow an external party to come and influence me.
Sure. I think two things what you said is amazing. One thing is to be identifying, first of all, there is an issue about our thinking. That is the major part, I would say, isn't it? Because most of the time, I tell when I'm training, I almost tell most of the time we are sleepwalking. Because we are not aware of what we are thinking or doing or saying. We just do it and say it and think. And so that's part of that, to know it. And the other thing is to challenge it, learn how you can challenge that and question it and see, even for ourselves, the way we think, to understand why we are thinking in a certain way or why we are doing in a certain way. For me, if I'm reaching for the chocolate, what is making me reach for the chocolate, right? Okay, fine. Then it will go back to something or someone, or, if even me, it's like a loop, isn't it? I think when you learn the ER, that's what I understand for myself, at least, when you're aware of yourself, the first piece allows you to go to the second piece a bit more easily to manage yourself, isn't it? Because
Absolutely.
when you know the trigger, it's easier to break the loop. Because some of them who are here, they have done the course with building successful habits. It's about knowing what is causing you to do something. If I am reaching out to the phone at 1 o'clock in the midnight or 2 o'clock, why am I doing it? So, I think it definitely helps you to want to think why something is happening, what is happening, isn't it? So you told about it beautifully. About gratitude, I'm a big fan of gratitude. Everyone knows I speak about it. And that's something most days, 90%, more than 90% of the time, I do it all the time. And even for my staff or my team at work, I always tell, when you go back home, I even wrote a post recently about, particularly about healthcare professionals. We take responsibility for the whole world, most of us anyway. So when we are going home, we are always thinking about things, the one thing which didn't go right, or the one patient who wasn't happy. So I tell when you're driving home or taking public, when you're going home, perhaps the good thing is to start thinking about at least one thing which did go right. The one patient you saved, the one patient you could care and make a difference. And that will change your mindset so much. And particularly when you're going back into another environment, you're carrying a better energy and it gives you that space to switch. Do you think, as an expert, what would you say, Venkat?
Basically, it's about affirmations also. Showing gratitude to self and affirming that. Affirmations does wonders. When you wake up showing gratitude to self, telling yourself that I love you, right? And not allowing external party to ruin your day. Because the moment you wake up, it's all about choices. What color shirt you're going to wear? Which route you're going to take? It's always about choices. And let your brain, your mind decide the choices and not because of external people. Be in control of the choices that you make, rational choices. But start off with the day with at least one grateful thing that you are grateful for. Just one thing is enough. And the day you start telling yourself, yes, I am important. I am good enough. See how you walk 1 week later. You walk with lots of confidence.
Thank you so much, Venkat. I can see the questions flowing in. So perhaps I'm going to try to wrap up here my questions and go into the other questions. They have sent me the questions, Venkat, so I will put it through to you. Before that, I want, as per the tradition, I want to tell everyone what is happening next week. So Dr. Roshni George, she's a consultant gynecologist and obstetrician MBBS. She's working in St. Mary's Hospital in Manchester, and she will be speaking about managing menstrual irregularities next week. So hoping to see you guys there to listen and learn from her about that. And over to my friend Kirbe Kahoot to give the vote of thanks before we go into questions.
Hello, once again, on behalf of Meet Menaca, celebrating you, real lives, real stories, we welcome you and we want to thank you. Those who are on the Facebook, we thank you for your participation. And also on this platform, thank you for your faithfulness and your participation. And not last but least, my dear friend Venkat, who I have come to know. We are from the same parts of the world, Singapore, and I'm from Malaysia. And I really appreciate your candid openness and talk. But as tradition would say, I would love to say something about your name. And that's been my signature now. And it is an acronym of your name. V stands for a visionary. E stands for being easygoing and truly Asian. N stands for being noble by nature. K stands for being keen and knowledgeable. A stands for admirable.
Wow.
T stands for the last one. Transformed your life. You've turned the testing into a testimony, and now you are showing the way for many. I thank you, Venkat, and I bless you.
Thank you so much, Guru. That was lovely.
She's become the pro at it. I have to go for lessons now from Kirubai to do this. Thank you so much, Venkat. There have been so many questions. So I'm going to start putting the questions from the audience. Kindly describe an example of when you have had to be confronting to achieve results. What did you do and how was it perceived?
When I had to be confronting.
Yeah. To achieve a result.
Okay, first of all, you got to study. This is where the social awareness comes in. Are you able to assess the situation? Is it the right time to ask the right question? Can it wait? If you can wait, why not do it the next day? Maybe it's not the right time to ask that question. Maybe
Sleep on
that
it.
person, yes, and maybe that person is having a bad day also. So when you ask such a question, are you going to get the right answer? No. So assess the situation, read the emotional cues, wait for the right time, then confront and get an answer. And the way you're confronting, can you watch your tone, your body language, the words that you choose? This is relationship management. So that it doesn't go into a conflict.
Can I come for a course with you then?
I'll be honored.
Yeah. Do you think it is also about saying I feel or I think? It's not about blaming other people and saying whatever you're confronting. When you're confronting someone, it's about taking responsibility to whatever you're saying and not going in the place, not going from the place of blaming.
If you're able to say the word I see that you are upset, now that statement alone says that I'm connecting with you. It's a powerful statement, actually. I'm addressing your emotions. How would you feel that?
True.
You'll feel welcome and open. So I see that you're not in the right frame of mind. Shall we have this chat later? That is the acknowledgement I'm giving you about you and understanding your emotions.
And you are also showing that person you have taken on board that this needs attention, isn't it?
Yes.
Sure. Thank you, Venkat. The next question is, as a teacher, you're well placed to change minds of your students and guide them. Do your students appreciate it?
Every time. One of the reasons why I still have some people, signing in is because I was able to at least 1% change or make an impact in their lives, or at least in their thinking. So being a trainer, it's not only about teaching about the subjects, but it's also transforming them either into a better way of thinking or to be a better person. So yes, my students have been grateful and I'm grateful for that.
Sure. Thank you so much. The next question to you is, in the UK, there are personal coaching for guidance and counseling for a fee. Is this happening in Singapore too?
Fantastic question. Asians being Asians, right? I do not know why they do not like to reach out. They do not like to reach out. Even if I post in my Facebook, I'm doing a 7-day free gratitude challenge, get involved. Response is quite weak. But they know they need it, but they don't take the first step.
Mm-hmm.
So we as coaches, we really need to pull you out from the well that you're drowning and make you sit, give you a towel, wipe you down. Come, let's start the coaching. That's how it is. They do not want to come forward, Menaca.
Yeah. As coaches and trainers, I think it's sometimes, I think I have been like that. I could be like that in different aspects, I guess. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know, isn't it? Sometimes you need somebody else to tell that you need that, or you say that. But I think that then again becomes partly being in the right environment amongst being in the right people. And people say, don't be if you are in the room where you are the best, it's time to change the room.
Oh yes, lovely. Yes, yeah. I like that.
So it's small things like that. It really makes a difference, I think. And having an open mind to learn, it's so important. Even if somebody's showing you the way, you need to be able to, as my father would say, you can only take the horse to the water and can't make it drink. And but there is also the other saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So there are different aspects to it, and I understand, because coaching, unfortunately, coaching or training, unfortunately, is not seen as necessary, because we are so much more into academic accolades and
Results.
qualifications. And as a healthcare professional, I can truly say I know lots of clinicians or even support staff. They're really, really good at their job. They're excellent. But sometimes what really lets them down is those soft skills and EI and social intelligence and all these things. So I really hope, that's the entire point of creating these shows and talking about these things, so that people become firstly aware, and secondly, have an open mind to reach out and learn these things, and think this is as important as their academic education.
Well said. Thank you. And Menaca, you're doing all these talk shows for this reason, to reach out to people. And I hope they're doing a reflective listening after every of your shows.
Sure.
Now, reflective listening is part of communication skills. Listening is a part of communication skills. So I hope instead of reaction listening, it's reflective listening is being practiced here.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason we edit it takes me hours, because I am not a video specialist. It takes me hours to edit. The reason I edit and put it on the YouTube and ask people to support it or subscribe it so that it shows to more people is because, according to statistics, you will know this as a teacher, only around 10% you remember after listening for the first time, unless until you want to revisit and think about it and learn about it, right? So that's why we do what we do, but it takes two to tango, and everyone has to do their part. So thank you so much, Venkat. I think I have time for another question before we come off live, and then I'll continue the questions for people on the Zoom later. Okay, lots of unwanted message on social media nowadays. Do you think in controlling your emotions, one should simply ignore such messages and walk away, or should you correct the messages by putting in a response?
It's true. Lots of information is being sent to you without you asking, whether it's social media, Facebook, or WhatsApp, right? I'm one person who hates group chats. So I try not to, say yes to group chats. Unnecessary information is coming to your head. You are not able to assess your own situation, whether are you in right position to even to receive that message. Do you need that message now? Then when it comes to Facebook, yes, unnecessary news and all that, a lot of keyboard warriors also are involved, and you feel like you would need to put that person down. It can be a subject that's very close to your heart, and he tapped on it. He stepped on your toe. Then again, he's an unknown person. Do you really need to react now? Tomorrow, will that message affect you? Why do you always need to react for every action? Why are you allowing that to affect you? Do you have a relationship with that person? Any value there? If no, let it go. Being emotionally, intelligently smart is also it's also learning not to respond. Walk away.
Sure. Thank you so much, Venkat. I think it's really important to know these things, particularly in the world where we live in, full of social media and virtual world. So thank you so much for the person who asked the question, and thank you for the answer. I think we are almost coming to the time we have to finish the live on Facebook. People on the Zoom, please hang on. We will be asking more questions from you, and you will be given a chance to come online and ask questions directly to Venkat as well. For people who are listening to us on Facebook, firstly, a big thank you for joining us. And next week, same time, same place, we will be speaking about managing menstrual irregularities with Dr. Roshni George, who is a consultant gynecologist and obstetrician. I've known her for a while, and I can't wait for her to come and talk about an important topic again. And just an announcement, from July onwards, we will be going live on Sundays at 2 p.m. on UK time, and it will be 6:30 Sri Lanka, India time. So please take note. However, for the next week, it will be the normal time on Saturday at 2 o'clock. Until we see you next time, stay safe, be happy, and keep smiling.